They lied to you. They told you that life was about fitting in, keeping quiet, playing it safe. That if you followed the rules, smiled at the right moments, and didn't ask too many questions, you'd be happy. But here you are, tired, frustrated, aching for something more, and not even sure what that is. And let me guess, you've tried everything they said would work. The degree, the job, the relationship, the grind, and still you feel like something's missing. Well, it is, because you weren't born just to survive or to check boxes that someone else created. You were born for intensity, for depth, for meaning, and the truth is, the life you've been living is probably not even yours. Not yet. You've been carrying the expectations of everyone but yourself, and calling it purpose. No wonder you feel disconnected. But that's not the end of your story. That's the start of your awakening. You see, there's a reason you feel restless. There's a reason your soul rejects the routine, the noise, the shallow goals. You're not lazy. You're misaligned. And this might be the moment, right here, right now, where you finally stop chasing applause and start chasing truth. The real kind. The kind that doesn't come from outside validation, but from inside clarity. So here's the deal. If you've ever felt like you were meant for more, you're right. But more doesn't mean more stress, more hustle, more stuff. It means more you, more courage, more honesty, more of your real voice. This is not some fluffy feel-good message. It's a wake-up call. And once you hear it, you won't be able to go back to sleep. And maybe that's what scares you, because waking up means you can't blame the world anymore. You'll have to choose, stay numb and pretend this is enough, or step into the fire of your own becoming. But deep down, you already know what you were born for. You just forgot. Until now. There comes a point when you look around and ask yourself, whose life is this, really? You wake up, go through the motions, check the boxes, and yet, none of it feels like it's for you. You're not chasing purpose. You're chasing expectations. Your boss expects results. Your parents expect stability. Your friends expect you to stay the same. And somewhere in the middle of all that, you got lost. You weren't born to just pay bills and smile for photos you don't even like. The truth is, you've probably been in survival mode for a long time. You learned early on that approval equals safety. So you became what others needed you to be, quiet when you wanted to scream, agreeable when you wanted to run. But survival isn't the same as living. You're like a tree planted in someone else's garden, trimmed and shaped for decoration, not for growth. If you're feeling empty, numb, or disconnected, that's not depression. It's misalignment. You've been measuring success by applause. And that applause, it's addictive. Every like, every compliment, every nod of approval became a drug that numbed your own inner voice. You started asking, what will they think? Instead of, what do I want? It's not your fault. You were trained for this. But now that you're old enough to question it, you're also old enough to change it. You don't need permission to reclaim your voice. Take a look at your routine. Who chose it? Did you pick that career because you love it, or because it looked good on a resume? Are you surrounded by people who see you, or just people who expect something from you? One practical thing you can do right now. Write down 10 things you used to love before the world told you to grow up. That list might just be your map back to yourself. Let me be honest with you. Most people never escape the trap. They die with a to-do list, not a dream fulfilled. Don't be most people. You've got one shot at this thing called life, and it's not a rehearsal. The sooner you stop performing, the sooner you start creating. This is about you finally showing up for yourself. It's scary, yeah. But it's scarier to live a life that never felt like yours in the first place. And maybe, just maybe, the life you were meant to live begins the moment you stop asking for directions and start trusting the compass inside you. But that's the thing, isn't it? How do you know where it's pointing? Maybe someone had the answer over 100 years ago. Someone who believed you should live like you'd have to live the same life again and again. Imagine if you had to live this exact life. Every moment, every decision, every regret, over and over again for eternity. That's not just philosophy. That's Nietzsche throwing cold water on your excuses. If the thought of reliving today forever terrifies you, then maybe it's time to change how you're living. Eternal return isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up, because if your days feel disposable now, they'll feel like torture on repeat. You see, when you follow the crowd, you don't just blend in, you disappear. And Nietzsche didn't believe you were born to vanish in a sea of sameness. He believed in the strength of the individual, the courage to walk alone, and the power to shape meaning in a meaningless world. That means you, my friend, have to stop waiting for a sign and start becoming one. Real freedom isn't handed to you. It's carved out of solitude. Most people fear isolation, but Nietzsche saw it as a path to clarity. When you're not constantly surrounded by noise, you're forced to hear your own soul. That's why your most honest thoughts come in the shower, in the car, or in the middle of the night. So don't avoid the silence, use it. Spend one day a week without digital distractions. No music, no scrolling. Just you, a notebook, and a walk. You'll be surprised what shows up when you finally sit with yourself. And here's something uncomfortable. Authenticity might cost you company. You might lose friends who liked the quieter version of you. You might confuse family who don't understand why you're changing. But would you rather live as a copy or risk becoming a masterpiece? You weren't meant to be everyone's cup of tea. You were meant to be a wildfire, uncontainable, unpredictable, and absolutely unforgettable. Nietzsche wasn't obsessed with comfort. He valued intensity, and intensity requires you to take full responsibility for the way you live. No more blaming your boss, your parents, or your circumstances. Ask yourself, if I had to do this day again, would I be proud? And if the answer is no, then what's stopping you from making tomorrow better? Because the pain of change is temporary, but the pain of regret, eternal. And maybe that's where this whole thing shifts. Because once you realize you might have to live this life on loop, you start paying attention. You start getting honest. And eventually you wake up, or you don't. Either way, the question's coming. There's a day, maybe today, when you stop pretending. You stop nodding when your heart's screaming no, and you start choosing what truly matters. It doesn't arrive with fireworks or clarity. Sometimes it's quiet, like when you're brushing your teeth and suddenly feel the weight of everything you've avoided, or when you laugh at something that's not even funny, just to keep the peace. That's not living, that's acting. And eventually, the mask gets heavy. You don't need a midlife crisis to wake up. You just need honesty. Real, gut-wrenching honesty. Ask yourself, what am I doing that's shrinking me? What am I tolerating that's slowly killing my joy? And here's the kicker. You already know the answers. You've known for years. You just kept postponing the moment you'd actually do something about it. But here's the thing, your soul is getting tired of waiting. So what do? You start saying no. Not because you're rude, but because your peace costs too much to keep selling. Say no to draining conversations, performative friendships, and goals that don't belong to you. Then start saying yes. To what? To curiosity, to long walks, to art that stirs something, to books that shake you awake, like Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning or Mary Oliver's poetry. Start building a life that doesn't just look good but feels true. Let's be real, this won't make everyone clap. Some people will call you selfish, dramatic, unstable. That's just their way of saying, you're doing something I don't have the courage to do. And that's okay. You're not waking up to impress them. You're waking up to save yourself. Because the longer you stay asleep, the deeper the regret. And once regret takes root, it poisons everything, even the good stuff. You can tell when someone's awake. They walk differently. They speak with conviction. They don't rush because they're not chasing approval, they're living on purpose. That can be you. But you've got to be willing to drop the act. Stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Start walking like your life depends on it, because it does. And somewhere along that path, you'll notice something strange. Things will begin to feel lifeless. Not because you're broken, but because you're finally sensitive to the things that never fed your spirit. That's not a sign to go back. It's a sign that your old routine was never truly alive to begin with. There's a kind of death that no one talks about. It doesn't happen in hospitals or cemeteries. It happens in offices, in traffic, in waiting rooms. It happens when you wake up to an alarm you dread, eat the same breakfast, drag yourself through tasks that mean nothing to you, and fall asleep wondering why you feel so empty. That, right there, is soul death. And the worst part? It's legal. It's normal. It's even praised. You weren't designed for autopilot. Your mind wasn't built to survive off routines that drain you and relationships that numb you. But society keeps selling this slow decay as maturity. Settle down. Be realistic. Don't ask too many questions. Keep your head down. Smile for the photo. Meanwhile, your spirit's in the corner, screaming to be remembered. That ache in your chest isn't random. It's your aliveness trying to wake you up. Routine itself isn't the enemy. It's the wrong routine, the kind that keeps you busy but disconnected. So here's a challenge. Disrupt your pattern. Drive a different way to work. Say yes to something weird. Read a genre you'd normally ignore. Talk to a stranger at the cafe. It sounds small, but every tiny disruption is a crack in the wall. And through those cracks, the light gets in. You can't rebuild aliveness without tearing something down. Nietzsche feared this exact fate. The person who dies without ever having lived. He didn't mean physical death. He meant spiritual death. When your life becomes a checklist instead of a canvas. When your thoughts are borrowed and your voice is on mute. And if that feels too familiar, don't run from it. Sit with it. Ask yourself, if I had a year left to live, would I spend it like this? If the answer is no, then what are you waiting for? Most people don't realize they're sleepwalking through life until something shakes them. An illness, a breakup, a loss. But you don't have to wait for tragedy to come knocking. You can choose to wake up now. That's the beauty and the burden of consciousness. You can't unsee the truth. You can't unknow your own dissatisfaction. But you can use it. Let it fuel your shift. Let it push you into movement. Because at the end of the day, when you're standing at the edge of your own existence, you won't care how organized your inbox was or how tidy your lawn looked. You'll wonder if you really lived, and if you made it count. But even then, the haunting question won't be about what you did. It'll be about what you didn't. Haunting question won't be about what you did. It'll be about what you didn't. You've been taught to count everything: steps, followers, dollars, degrees. But no one ever taught you to measure depth. You see, the world praises quantity. How much you earn, how much you own, how much you produce. And yet, the things that truly define you, peace, joy, courage, love, they don't come with scoreboards. They don't fit in spreadsheets. And when you're on your deathbed, trust me, no one's asking for their resume. The trap is sneaky. You chase a salary thinking it'll buy freedom, but it ends up renting your soul. You chase prestige, but it turns into a prison of expectations. You spend years building a life that looks impressive from the outside, only to realize you feel hollow inside. That's not success. That's an illusion. You weren't born to impress. You were born to express, to create something real, even if the world never claps for it. Regret doesn't show up because you didn't hit a number. It shows up when you know you settled, when you traded joy for approval, when you stayed quiet in rooms that deserved your voice. You won't regret making less money to do what you love. You'll regret waking up at 60 realizing you never even tried. Want a way to measure life? Try this. Ask yourself if what you're doing today would matter if no one saw it. Here's a powerful exercise. Write your eulogy today. Not as it is, but as you want it to be. What do you want to be remembered for? Being busy or being brave? Let that guide your choices. If the things you're working for won't matter when you're gone, maybe they don't deserve so much of your time while you're here. That's not morbid, that's clarity. We live in a culture obsessed with metrics. But a soul doesn't care how fast your Wi-Fi is or how many likes you got this morning. A soul craves meaning. And meaning often shows up in the smallest places. A handwritten note, a long walk, a conversation that makes you forget your phone even exists. Start chasing that kind of wealth. Because when you have meaning, numbers lose their grip. And yet, even when you know this, there's a darker temptation, one that Nietzsche warned about. Not the desire to suffer, but the deeper, deadlier sin. The choice to live half alive. To choose mediocrity because it's safer. To stay quiet because it's easier. To dim your light just to blend in. Let me tell you something hard but true. The real tragedy isn't failure. It's hesitation. It's spending your whole life with the volume turned down on your soul. Nietzsche didn't fear pain or struggle. He feared the quiet drift into mediocrity. And you know what? That's way more common. You don't wake up one day and say, "I'll be average." No, it happens in tiny choices. The dreams you shelf, the truths you silence, the risks you postpone. You weren't designed to get by. That itch you feel when you do something safe instead of something real, that's your spirit resisting sedation. But here's the hard part. Living fully demands you feel everything. The grief, the joy, the rage, the awe. You can't selectively numb. If you numb the pain, you numb the magic too. And soon you're coasting, not feeling much of anything, just floating in the shallow end of your own existence. Most people avoid depth because it makes them vulnerable. But vulnerability isn't weakness. It's proof you're alive. You don't have to scream from rooftops. But if you're living a life where you always play it safe, where you avoid discomfort at all costs, you're not living. You're rehearsing. And life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. Want something actionable? Say yes to one thing this week that scares you. Not recklessly, intentionally. Growth lives there. You may have been taught that playing small is humble, that not rocking the boat is wise. But sometimes humility becomes a disguise for fear. And fear is a liar. It whispers, "You're not enough. Don't try. Stay quiet." But guess what? You were never meant to be small. Your potential doesn't scare you. It scares those around you who haven't activated theirs. So don't shrink to fit. Expand to lead. Think of the people you admire. Are they safe? Or are they bold? Are they liked by everyone? Or respected by the right ones? There's no medal for being agreeable. But there's deep satisfaction in being true. You want to be remembered? Stop being forgettable. Speak up. Move boldly. Fail gloriously. At least then, when your story is told, it'll be one worth listening to. Because in the end, the question isn't, did you live a perfect life? It's, did you live your life? Not half of it. Not the edited version. The whole messy, vibrant, breathtaking thing. That's what you were born for. And now that you've seen it, maybe you're finally ready to ask the bigger question. Why were you born? So now the question isn't if you were born for more, it's what you're going to do about it. Will you go back to sleep, wrap yourself in comfort, and wait for someday? Or will you finally rise and start living like this is the only shot you've got? Because it is. And I'm not here to sugarcoat that. I'm here to remind you that regret is louder than fear, and the only thing worse than falling is never jumping at all. What would your life look like if you stopped shrinking? Who could you become if you stopped chasing validation and started chasing truth? Imagine waking up tomorrow and saying, "No more pretending." That version of you, the one who feels alive, present, unshakable, isn't some fantasy. It's a choice, but only if you're willing to break the routine and start answering the deeper call. So here's your invitation. Don't let this be just another video you watch and forget. Let this be your line in the sand. Take one step today, just one. Write something real. Speak your truth. Quit something that's killing your spirit. Call someone and say what you've been holding in. Whatever it is, do it like your life depends on it. Because it does. And hey, if this hit you deep, if you felt seen, if something inside you shifted, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications, and stay with me on this journey. We go deep here. We question everything. We rebuild from the inside out. And if you're ready to keep walking forward, I've got something for you. Watch the next video. It'll take this message even further and give you the next key to unlock the life that's waiting for you. Now tell me in the comments, what truth are you finally ready to live? Let's go.